Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 210 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return finally with some more knowing wheel. Jamie, first of all, we've got to get the elephant out of the room. Both of our lighting setups is awful because we believe for the first time ever, apart from the podcast we did together, this is the very first one of these we're going to do where neither of us is at home.
Yeah, we are both out of the country that we reside in. So, yeah, it's a bit haphazard, and that's why it's kind of taken this long into the week, because a lot of travel plans and stuff like that. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it, but hopefully it look good and it looks okay. We were saying I'm not sure many people watch this for the visual pleasure, but yeah, hopefully it's still there for you a bit.
Yeah, we can only hope. I mean, you're currently, whereabouts are you? Sorry, south of France.
I'm in Cannes, in the south of France.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm enjoying the sunshine of Brisbane in Australia. So it's a wonderful time to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Formula One's over, isn't it? So we both get to escape our
much
dreams.
like the drivers. Yeah, I'm actually going to Monaco tomorrow, so I might see some drivers. That'll be fun.
You're going to I'm going to struggle to get to a Formula Grand Prix circuit tomorrow. Albert Park is a fair old drive away, which is a little bit of a shame. But we've got a good one in store this week. Of course, we've kind of got all our plans sorted between now and the end of the year in terms of podcasts. So next week, of course, will be our big quiz, as we do every year. Our interactive quiz that you guys can obviously be a part of as well. But this week, Jamie, after you lost our 2024 predictions. I love your new profile picture with Lance Stroll on Twitter. Not that anybody uses it anymore.
No one will see that.
But it is time to go back through our 2024 predictions as well and see who was slightly more accurate in the bigger picture, and we get a good chance to laugh at it. But for maybe the first time ever in Knowing Wheel history, because we're late, we've actually got some news as well that hasn't happened after we've recorded. Yeah,
so it came out this week that Sergio Perez, the least well-kept secret in the paddock since Abu Dhabi, has been sacked. Or should I say, they've mutually agreed to terminate a contract, but he has had a severance fee. So it's
that
sacking,
is the way you describe a sacking?
Yeah, so he's gone. And Liam Lawson is into Red Bull. Despite Yuki Tsunoda doing the young driver test in Abu Dhabi, and actually doing quite well by the sounds of it. They've still chosen Lawson, which I kind of see why, but I also think Yuki would have deserved that seat as well.
Well, there's a big problem here, isn't it? And it's what I keep seeing online everywhere at the moment. People go, oh, it's so unfair on Yuki and all this, that, and the other. There is still a big difference between a Red Bull Junior driver and a Honda Junior driver. Tsunoda must know he's going to Aston Martin when Alonso calls it quits. Possibly at the end of next year, most likely the year after that. He knows that is his drive after that. Like, if for Red Bull, it is pointless. Why on earth waste a year of having what effectively isn't one of your drivers in the car, is how they must feel at this point. You may as well develop or try and give Liam a shot, and obviously see what he can do.
Yeah, totally. And also people are saying, well, Tsunoda beat Lawson over their 6 races together. But realistically, in context, they're very well matched. They're quite similar drivers in a way. And Lawson's in his he's not even done one full season. He's done 10 races in total.
11 Grand Prix, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact after a year out, he came in and almost immediately was matching Tsunoda, who's done 5 years.
Which Ricciardo couldn't do.
Yeah, I think it bodes well for Lawson because he's very adaptable and he's very quick and he's very robust. So I don't think he'll beat Max, but I'm hoping that he does better than Perez does. It's a low bar.
It is a low bar, isn't it? And I think, Red Bull as well, they've got to learn from the mistakes they've made with previous juniors. Because if there's a problem now with Liam in that team, longer term, they really... You kind of think... It feels like every time we've said this, isn't it? But you really think this is kind of like the last straw, almost, isn't it?
Well, I don't know.
Red Bull.
Maybe
Red
it looks
Bull
like
as
from the outside.
But in terms of if Lawson can't gel with that car, you think unless you sign a big name from somewhere else, which Max absolutely would not have, what else can you do apart from just accept you're going to have a number 2 that is nowhere near at the same level, whether through lack of his own talent or the way you set up the car and the team and everything like that.
Yeah, and eventually, like, they're just going to keep throwing drivers at it until someone's good for a bit. Because, to be fair to Perez, he was good in 21 and 22, and the very beginning of 23, I would say. Like, up until Miami, when Max crushed him from 9th on the grid. I think that really broke his soul, and he was done after that. But 21 and 22, people were like, Perez is the answer. Like, he's better than Albon was. He's better than Gasly was. And then suddenly it just all went wrong. So they're probably just going to keep throwing drivers at it until they find one that's good. And that's basically what they did with Verstappen, wasn't it? They just kept shuffling the pack until they get the next world beater.
Well, they wanted Verstappen in the car as soon as he was in that Toro Rosso. But yeah, I mean, it does obviously raise the other important thing, though, of course, of obviously if Yuki doesn't adapt and, they're going to have to chuck someone else in. At the time of recording, we've still had no official confirmation as to who will be joining Yuki in VCARB. I mean, it's Isaac Hadjar, isn't it? We know this, basically.
It is Isaac Hadjar. Which I don't hate. It'll be a very angry lineup.
It will be a very, very feisty lineup.
But yeah, I think that's good. As in, you look at Red Bull's paddock of drivers, and it's probably the one that makes most sense. So fair play. That's what a junior team's for. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's that other thing as well, isn't it? Of course, of it feels like still the Red Bull aren't really talking about Hadjar as a potential world champion of the future. It seems like he's the placeholder now for, apparently Helmut Marko is talking the praises constantly of Arvid Lindblad, who might well be Red Bull's next big thing, which of course he's moving on into Formula 2 next year. Yeah. So that could work out quite nicely. If Alonso calls it quits, Tsunoda goes to Aston Martin, it could well be Lindblad that immediately gets in as well. Yeah,
because Lindblad's 18 or 19 or so. So
I think he might just have turned 18 now, yeah.
He's 17. Flipping heck.
Is he still 17? Was he 16 when he won in F3, was he?
He's 18 in August.
Yeah, so he was 16 when he won at Silverstone.
Wow, born in 2007. My word.
Oh, no, that's so disturbing.
So yeah, I think Arvid Lindblad, I can see why they're talking about, because he's very high potential. But yeah, is Hadjar, he's probably more of a Jean-Eric Vergne than a Max Verstappen in that regard, in terms of Toro Rosso drivers. But
unfairly replaced by a younger driver.
I was thinking more like they're going to be good without being great. I think Hadjar will be
fair enough. Yeah. Have we got anything else to talk about, Jamie, before we go straight into predictions?
I think we just get straight into it.
Wonderful. How are we going to do this then, sir? Because we seem to use a different system every year.
We do, for simplicity, and I will defend that I stole this from a slightly more popular podcast with 2 other YouTubers, one of which is called Matt.
I don't know who you're on about.
The easiest way to score it, because it's early in the morning where I am, will be, we'll go through the Drivers' Championship, top to bottom, and whoever predicted the driver closest gets a point. So, for instance, we get to Max Verstappen, I put him first, let's say, you put him second, then I get 1 point because I'm closer than you. So it's a head-to-head.
Okay.
We're not able to compare this to anyone else in the community.
No. Nor would we want to be honest. So are we going to do drivers and teams?
We're taking out all the... Apart from, I know that you predicted that Lawson would... You predicted 21 drivers, didn't you? I predicted 20.
I did predict 21. Neither of us have Colin Pinto on our list.
No, or Jack Doohan. So we'll take out all the drivers.
I forgot about Doohan.
Apart from Liam Lawson. So we're basically having a 21 driver championship, which means that...
So I get a point for Liam Lawson immediately.
Yes, because you're closer on Liam Lawson. But for argument's sake, Logan Sargent is 21st.
Okay, wonderful.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Just about. I mean, let's be fair. We'll try and keep scores, but this normally ends up in an argument anyway. So we're going top to bottom then, are we? You've got the championship order. I've got our predictions from pre-season, so it's always quite fun.
I don't have the championship order.
Well, you need the championship order because you're leading that segment of this show. Professionalism at its finest, as always.
I know how it starts, so that's good.
That's wonderful.
Let's begin with Max Emiliano Verstappen.
Where do you think you predicted him this year?
I really hope I put him first, given I know I put Perez second. So I'd be
did.
surprised if I didn't put Max first. So that's
maybe he
immediately
calls it quits.
a point for me. Because at the very most, you can just equal me. And that's a point each.
And I did. We both said Max Verstappen first.
Nice.
Let's be fair. You got a little bit worried halfway through the season. I always, there was never any real chance that Lando was actually going to be able to be a championship threat.
Oh, there was.
There wasn't really.
After Brazil quali,
we tried to hype it up. We tried to hype it up. It was never sensibly going to happen.
No.
Like I said he might be
stressed.
able to get it to Abu Dhabi, but I don't think there was never going to be enough time for him to do it.
Maybe not, but yeah, I think next season, since he won 2 races out of the last 13, with that car that's probably the 3rd or 4th fastest, then yeah, it's not looking good for Title 5. I'll say that, but
no,
we shall see.
Fair enough. You keep talking for a second, Jamie. As you've probably already all been able to tell, I'm very bunged up right now, so I'm just going to go wipe my nose. But Jamie, keep talking us through. Talk about Verstappen's championship for a second.
Well,
best
I think
season
it was
that he's done?
Probably his second best, just because he always had that buffer of the 7 race wins out of the first 10 races. So, and the people forget how intense 2021 was. That was a horrible season to watch as a fan, let alone to be the driver who all the spotlights are on. I think 2021 was probably his best championship, even if it did come with a bit of luck at the end. But this season is definitely the worst car that he's won a championship with. And Brazil,
but that's not a hard benchmark.
Brazil was
and only the worst car for the second half of the season. No, I refuse to believe that. Brazil this year is so overhyped. I'm sorry. No, but he made it, don't get me wrong, lap 1, fantastic. After that, made no inroads, got lucky with the red flag, couldn't get past the Alpines, and then got another decent start.
The way he dropped 18 seconds on the whole grid.
On Ocon. At the end. On Ocon. No one could get past anyone.
Ocon, could they?
Yeah, but it's the problem with the cars, not how good the driver.
But
I'm
Max
sorry,
got past
I genuinely believe this. Yeah, at the start, the restart, the only time anyone could make... Don't get me wrong, he did a better job than Lando or Charles or anyone like that, because of course they made mistakes as well.
It was a phenomenal drive.
If anyone deserved to win that race, it was actually George Russell, and I will die on that hill. I'm sorry. He made no inroads. He just got lucky with the red flag. No, not even Ocon.
He literally went from 17th to 7th.
No, he went from 17th to 13th early on, Jamie, is exactly what happened.
No, and then he got on the back of the front pack.
I think he was 12th, he was 7th. Sorry. He wasn't.
He was 7th when the safety car came out. Go watch it, but I watched it yesterday.
Why were you watching it yesterday?
Because I like Max Verstappen. It was the greatest driver of all time. He's up there with Donington 93 or whatever.
Greatest driver of all time. That's so stupid. I mean,
all right, let's
don't get me wrong. I know I'll give Max some praise as well in the balance, because I will say this was his best season in terms of championship winning drive. I'd argue actually his best season was 2020, because it felt like obviously Max it does better when he feels he's got a chance as the hunter, not the hunted. I would argue that 2020 was actually his best season. A couple of little errors here and there. But I would argue that at this championship winnings this one was probably the best in terms of proving himself as a bit more of an all-rounder. But
2021, the intensity will never be topped. I think that was such a
no, exactly. But he did bottle it. He did bottle it.
He won a championship. That's quite hard to say.
But he bottled it though, Jamie. He did. Those last 4 races were hilarious.
Well, he won it.
You're right. Okay. Right. Well, you can laugh for a second because we're about to go
Lando
into
Norris.
Yep.
Yes, Lando Norris came second. I definitely didn't put him second. I don't remember what my thought process was, but I probably have him around 4th or 5th.
You have him 5th. I have him 4th.
Okay, there's a point for you. Well done.
Thank you.
So, yeah. I don't remember if he predicted he was going to win a race or not. Because obviously he had never won a race before this season.
Maybe?
But the way that Red Bull won every race, I'm not sure I would have predicted Norris to win a race. But
no, based on where we've got McLaren in the Constructors as our predictions as well, I wouldn't hold our breath that we said he'd get a win. I mean, he's like... I mean, 4th and 5th is our predictions. That's probably where we'd rank him in terms of best driver of the year as well, I think.
That's a little harsh.
Fair enough. I'd say Verstappen did a better job. I'd say Leclerc did a better job.
Yeah.
I'd say George Russell did a better job.
No, I would leave it at those. I would leave Norris there.
Fair
I think.
Fair
driver ranking.
Just will not give George Russell any praise, will you? You hate George Russell.
Well, according to all the Mercedes fans, he had a better car all year than Hamilton. So.
Well, he did that as well, but yeah. I mean, yeah, well, I think it's been a year of learning for Lando, and I hope next year he comes back and is kind of a bit more aggressive with Max. Because even come the end of the year, he's still rolling over and trying to be his mate and everything like that. And you're there going, no wonder Verstappen doesn't feel threatened by you. He doesn't, he doesn't see you as a threat. It's very simple.
Yeah, I kind of see that. But I also think you don't need to get into the psychological beef to have a championship fight. I just think that's, if you are able to have integrity, and be the same driver in the media and in the stewards room, then Max probably quite likes you. So he's not going to like you on track.
Yeah, it's not about whether Max likes you or not. That's not.
There's no reason. There's no reason to fall out for no reason.
If anything, I think George Russell's going about it the right way, attacking him head on, because he sees how frustrated and just fly off the pan Max can get. That's his weakness still, is his temperament at times. His worst race of the year was Hungary, where he completely lost his cool. That is exactly what you have to be probing out of him, week in, week out.
Yeah. And the fact that Toto was next to George when he was doing all this was kind of like, this is a team strategy, isn't it, to try and annoy Max? And
it's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but just think how mad it is that they could have been teammates.
Yeah. I think this is a bit like Sebastian Vettel's 2009 for Norris, where like it's his breakout season, but he's not.
I still would say 2021 was Lando's breakout season.
Yeah, but this is the one where
wasn't he still third by like the halfway through?
He was third after halfway through. Yeah,
mad.
But I think I was thinking about this morning. If I was going to predict one driver to win next year's Drivers' Championship, it probably would be Norris right now, which pains me.
I think you'd have to put sensible money on McLaren, but that's where it is at the moment.
It'd be Norris on
or Lewis. Combine the Ferrari and the Brits. I will be. You wait till our pre-season predictions, Jamie.
You got Norris closer than me. How about
I get 1 point there.
Up next? I think I could have got this bang on based on elimination.
We both got this bang on wrong. Bang on right, sorry.
Bang on right. Lovely.
Yeah.
So we're on for 2 out of 3 at the
minute. Yeah, we're doing all right. We know wheel, Jamie. The clue's in the name.
We do. Ignore who we put second place, or who I put second place anyway.
Mine wasn't much better.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Leclerc has been really good. And other than that 4-race spell...
Yeah, exactly. You get rid of that 4-race spell, and obviously a couple of those weren't even his fault.
No,
arguably driver of the year. So many underrated drives.
Definitely second best driver of the year. I think it's quite hard to argue against Max, but yeah, without that retirement, 5th, 11th, and 14th in a row, none of which were actually his fault, arguably, because 2 of them were strategy. And I don't remember what happened to Austria, but was that strategy as well?
No, he got unlucky at turn 1, wasn't it? He picked up damage.
Oh, yeah. So
he was just, unlucky car placement.
Say sensibly he gets 35 points in those 3 races, which is not that much. Then suddenly he's ahead of Norris, and he's like only a few points, like 50 odd points off Max, who won those last
Ferrari,
2 out of the last 4.
Yeah, and Ferrari absolutely would have played it differently towards the end of the year. Leclerc would have driven differently. And potentially got that gap down further. He definitely would have won Mexico. I think they might have tried to be a little bit more aggressive as well in a couple of other races towards the end. It's all the little things, like you think Ferrari just, it was never a worry about the Drivers' Championship, things like that this year. Obviously because of where they were at. It's kind of think, well, maybe they've held back some upgrades for next year, things like that as well. But, it's all ifs and buts now. Fred Vasseur is cooking up a treat for next year, and I can't wait for it. Ferrari back on top. Just remember, Jamie, the last time McLaren won the Constructors, Ferrari then won the next 6 in a row. That's what I keep thinking.
Hamilton's going to be 45 by the time that finishes.
A 13-time champion.
Well, Leclerc might be a 6-time champion by then. We'll find out.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Yes. Who's next? 4th place, Oscar. So next up, P4, we have Oscar Piastri, which I'd imagine is a lot higher than we put him. because it's quite unexpected to be this high. Obviously, the season in our heads in Melbourne, before Melbourne, was going to be quite similar. Melbourne wasn't even race 1. It was going to be quite similar to 2023, which didn't come about. And yeah, I know I didn't put Piastri 4th, but where did I put him? And where did you put him?
We both put him, I believe, in 9th. I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9th. Neither of us saw McLaren uprising this year.
No, but we do share a point, so that's okay. So it leaves you still 1 ahead of me.
Wonderful.
4-3. Yes, I think Piastri's had a really good season. To say it's his second season in Formula 1, which people often forget. Obviously won the Constructors, so that's pretty good going. And
more than Hamilton could ever do in McLaren even.
Yeah, exactly. Piastri clear of Hamilton, you heard it here first. But yeah, the fact that especially mid-season he was able to properly take the fight to Lando in that team and match and beat him on numerous occasions. I think over the course of the season, Norris will still have the edge, but the fact that he can get that close in his second season, it is very similar to what happened with Norris and Sainz back in 2020, wasn't it? Yeah, we'll see if Piastri's trajectory continues upwards.
But there are a couple of caveats with that, though, isn't there? Because obviously, Sainz 2020, we already knew he was going to Ferrari. So, of course, McLaren then were shaping the car around him.
Started favouring, yeah.
Exactly. People also don't appreciate how much Lando's done in years to get that McLaren team moulded around him. It's not quite, and obviously, anywhere near the same extremities as obviously we talk about with Max and Red Bull. But that team is completely set up around Lando as well, and the car is designed in a direction he likes. If Oscar gets into a car next year that he can work out the Pirelli tyres a bit better and it suits his style a bit more, I don't see any reason why he can't be on a real pain for Lando week in and week out next year.
Yeah. And, there could be a championship up for grabs, and we'll see how Piastri copes with that.
Exactly.
Because they won't put team orders in straight away. They'll do it.
Well, papaya rules, Jamie. I can't wait for that Netflix episode.
That will absolutely. That's such a DTS title. You've never
exactly.
That I would put a £1 million on that.
I almost want to take you up on that.
I don't have £1 million, sadly, but yes, I'll keep the Stroll Pro picture forever.
Thank you.
If that's not a title of
you heard it here first, ladies and gents.
Carlos Sainz is the next driver on our list who finished 5th.
One of us
I might have put Norris 5th. Put Sainz 5th, sorry.
You didn't. We both put him 6th.
Wow, we are so boring. Why are we putting the same thing? I'm just going to read your predictions first and then do mine next season.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Sainz is very unfortunate to be dropped. I can't think of any driver who's been replaced without wanting to be replaced who deserves it less than Carlos Sainz this season.
Damon Hill, Williams, 1997, 1996 even.
I guess he won the championship. Who was he?
He won the title. Was already dropped. Ready for Heinz-Held Frentzen. Wait, no, was it? Who was it? 96.
It was Villeneuve, because Villeneuve had a really good debut season. Oh no, but his debut was 96. Yeah.
No, he won the title in 96. His debut was 95, when Damon won the world title. I'm pretty certain it was 97 for Frentzen.
No, Damon won in 96 for sure.
Yes, he did. Sorry, yeah, it was for Frentzen then. Yeah.
Yeah, funny. Well, yeah, fair enough. You've disproved my point, but I think Carlos Sainz very, very unfortunate to end up at Williams next season. But yeah, it's sad.
He
for
could have
him,
made his
but
mind
he got
up
a nice
quicker.
send-off. But then where could he have gone?
He could have potentially gone Mercedes or Red Bull if he wanted to try. He tried.
He very much tried to go to both of those. I think the only way he could have gone to Red Bull is if he still didn't have a seat now, but obviously he was never going to do that.
Well, yeah.
He was risking a year on the sidelines.
He should have had something put in his contract.
In the Ferrari contract? Or in the Williams
contract?
No,
in his Williams contract. He should have had something a bit more clear cut. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
That he could have taken.
Yeah. One interesting thing about Carlos Sainz is every team he's joined has immediately got better. So Renault, who joined when they were 7th or 6th in the championship, and they became 4th.
Yep.
McLaren, he joined when they were 6th, again, 5th, 6th or 7th in the championship, and they became 3rd. Yeah, and then obviously Ferrari have gone from 4th up to 2nd. So could Williams break into that top 5 next season?
Well, they finished 9th this year, so he's got plenty of room for improvement.
I guess, yeah.
And you got to remember on the other side of that, though, I don't think a driver has left Ferrari since... I think it was pre-Irvine. No, it must have been Raikkonen.
No one's ever won a race after
leaving Ferrari, apart from Raikkonen.
Apart from Kimi Raikkonen at Lotus. But then he went back to Ferrari.
In the last 20 years. We should caveat that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lauda won more titles after leaving Ferrari, because he's just built different.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is kind of like that weird mixture of omens, isn't it? As like an ex-Ferrari driver. It really does always feel like that is you've kind of gone over the crest in your career.
Yeah, that is your peak when you drive for Ferrari. And to be honest, I see people being like, when Hamilton retires, he might get called back to Ferrari, but I think Ollie Behrman's going to be ready by then.
He'll be Behrman,
so,
yeah. You'll put the next generation in.
Yeah, but it's a shame for Sainz. But he had a very good season, and this could be the last time we see him on the podium in Abu Dhabi. So,
no, I reckon he'll get a Williams one somewhere.
Really?
At some point somewhere, there'll be a Williams podium for him. Bit like George.
Maybe he stays there long enough. But yeah. Speaking of George, good caveat, because he's up next in 6th place in the championship.
Yes.
I think we might have got Mercedes pretty close based on where we've put everyone else.
So I put George 5th. You put George 7th.
Okay, a point each for being one out each. We are just sharing a lot of points here. But,
we are sharing a lot of points.
Sharing is caring. So George Russell, you said he was top 3 drivers on the season, so you can explain him.
Yeah. I mean, he's the thing is with Russell this year is it kind of feels like, and of course, he's been aided a bit by Mercedes, given him favourable treatment, all that kind of thing. Which, yes, I'm saying casually. But he did raise a very good point in Vegas that not only have the team, but also he as a driver absolutely capitalised on every opportunity they've had this year. The fact that they've won, I believe, the same, maybe one less race than Ferrari and like 2 less races than McLaren this year, in a car that absolutely shouldn't have won anywhere near as many races as definitely the McLaren and arguably the Ferrari, just goes to show how it kind of felt like for the first time in the Ground Effect era that Mercedes were operating as that team we kind of remember them to be again, of capitalising and, almost that stereotypical German level of efficiency. Everything is done very correct, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's offensive. But yes, I think you're right. And what he said after Vegas was like, the fact that Verstappen's had it so easy, given how slow that Red Bull was for the majority of the second half of the season, is pretty outrageous. And at one point, Mercedes were on 4 wins, and McLaren and Ferrari were also on 4 wins, I think it was. So,
but Ferrari only on 3, wasn't it? Oh no, after Vegas.
Ferrari finished on 5.
They'd already had their 5 by then. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the fact, I think Russell was correct in that. But it's been a good season. He's obviously been better than Hamilton if you compare them like to like, and if you ignore the conspiracy theories. But yeah, I don't think I could put him top 3.
I think coming into this year, though, the other big thing as well was we weren't sure that Russell was ready to lead that Mercedes team. This year he is, because obviously we kind of look at 2022 and go, all this, that and the other. There are a lot of extraneous circumstances, but this year he has proved absolutely that he is ready to be the number 1 within that team. Until Antonelli comes in and beats him and then he gets into a cat fight.
Yeah. I wonder if Russell will be as good when he's not being pushed as hard, because I kind of don't think Antonelli will push him as hard.
What makes you think Antonelli will push him as hard? Antonelli's young and hungry, trust me.
He is, but I don't think he's
going to be
one to watch. A 7-time world champion.
Oh no, but give him time.
Yeah, in F2 where he should be, hey. Or in Williams at a push.
It's all right. You got it. Who's Lewis next?
Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, 7th
place. You're going to get a point for this one, which is.
I think you put him second.
I did put him second.
Oh, dearie me. Where did I put him?
You put him 4th, to be fair. So we both overhyped Lewis's season, but
he had a very good 2023.
Yeah, he did.
So
he was probably, you'd argue, the second best driver of 2023. Either him or Alonso, I think is probably fair.
But then the 2024 came around and he was not at it really, other than Silverstone, which was incredible.
Yeah, I think honestly he was just kind of just focusing on the future. Yeah, I think they kind of realised early on, it's not... If he'd been in a title fight, I absolutely think he would have given it everything he could to get a title. Yeah. But, of course, they knew going in...
But he's checked out.
But it also, for the most part this year, again, apart from where Mercedes have been able to fight, they have just often been a little way away from the big three teams, haven't they? That's exactly where they finished in the championship, apart from Perez. So it is definitely where Lewis kind of... I want to say conserves his energy, but it is. He just kind of checks out a little bit. He did kind of check out. Which you're kind of there going, he's focused on the future, he's focused on Ferrari next year, but it is sometimes a little bit of a shame when you think, could he have got a bit more out of it?
It's understandable, but it's also like, it's a bit peak because he's all about like never give up, don't give up on your dreams, and then he's pretty much in a few races at the end of the season was basically like we should give up.
Well,
which is not great, but
not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal. Probably his worst season ever in F1.
I would say 2011 was 2011? Worse. Yeah,
he got more wins in 2011.
Did he? He got 3 wins in 2011, didn't he?
He got 3 wins, yeah.
But that McLaren also was a bit... On the tracks it was good at, it was untouchable, wasn't it? It was really odd. But yeah, I think for Lewis, I don't think he'll worry about it. I've seen a lot of people kind of go, I don't know why Ferrari made such a big mistake and everything. And he kind of there going, no, I think there's... Vegas absolutely proved that when Lewis senses victory, he's absolutely still right.
And the Abu Dhabi race.
And the Abu Dhabi race as well.
Yeah, but 8th place was Checo Perez. And this is a funny one because I know I put him second.
You did.
And I'm pretty sure you put him 11th or something like that.
6, 7, 8, 9. I did put him 11th, so I get a point there.
You do get a point because I remember you said he was going to get dropped after Monaco.
I did.
And I laughed at you.
You did.
And... despite him not getting dropped out of Monaco, you're considerably closer.
Yep,
in the championship position.
To be honest, looking at the championship, you'd think he was dropped after Monaco as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well,
he's been terrible.
His points after Monaco were very comparable with the likes of Gasly and Hulkenberg, weren't they? So
exactly, worse I think than Gasly in the last few races. Also, I saw a mad stat is if the 2024 season ran in reverse. It's something like it would take until Silverstone, which would effectively be like round 13
mid-season,
for Perez to break into the top 10 in the championship.
Yeah. Well, since Monaco, he's had a best finish of 6th in Netherlands.
Deary me.
And a bunch of 7th places and 8th places. So,
terrible.
Yeah, it is pretty awful. And he's obviously now been dropped and sacked. So, I don't think it's the end of Perez in F1. I think Andretti might sign him.
No, he's not coming back.
He just sneezed.
I have.
You don't think he's going back at all?
No. It's over.
I think he might sneak in somewhere, but
I can't see it happening.
Not for 25. 9th place, Fernando Alonso, who was one of the, obviously they said finished 4th in 2023, and Aston Martin fell off a cliff.
They did.
In the second half of 23.
Yep.
And obviously that continued in 24. So I don't have a clue where we put him.
I believe we both put him in 8th.
Okay, so only one out. That's not bad.
Only one out. We've done, but we both kind of predicted because we saw Aston Martin's fall off last year, throughout most of the campaign. I remember we both kind of said it'll happen again, and it did.
It did, and actually they weren't even that good at the start of this season. Obviously, I think
Alonso
Saudi
got
was
the
quite
second
good.
row in Saudi, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously China was okay as well, but really they were never troubling that podium positions at all.
My favourite stat this year, I think, has to be that if Alonso had given up after Shanghai, he still would have scored as many points as Stroll by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
20 races and 6 sprints.
Stroll hasn't scored since a 10th place in Hungary, which is outrageous.
Absolutely. I mean, we've said it so many times, haven't we? But I would argue that's probably been his worst year.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think his stock was quite high after 2020 and then 2021 against Vettel.
We both read through it, though. We both knew what was going on.
We did. But yeah, Alonso, he's not had a bad season. It's just the car has been really limiting. And I think all his eggs are on 2026 now.
Absolutely.
Because he's retiring after that. The way he's talking about it already is like, you know what? I would love it if he won the championship in 2026.
I wouldn't, but okay.
20 years between championships. That would be insane.
Yeah, but then he's just an Adrian Newey merchant, isn't he?
Still, Sebastian Vettel built a career off that. So,
well, yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
yeah, I think at least win a race in 26 for Alonso, but
That would be quite funny, yeah.
it would be quite cool. 10th place, stolen at the death, was Pierre Gasly. And Alpine were awful in testing.
Yep.
So I don't know where we would have put them.
So I put Pierre Gasly, I believe, in 12th. You put him 13th.
Okay, so you're smashing me. You're 9-7 up at this point.
Thank you.
10 drivers in. So I've only actually outright beaten you on one of them.
Yep, and that was Lewis Hamilton because I live on hopium.
Yes. Gasly had a very strong year. The first half obviously was awful because Alpine were awful and he wasn't really beating Ocon that convincingly. But after Ocon was announced to be leaving, I think Gasly properly kicked on. And yeah, obviously at the end of the season he had him in his pocket. And
I think Alpine also completely steered the car in his direction. Understandably.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not going to blame him for that, but yeah.
They did. But the fact, a third, a fifth, and a seventh, and a retirement from third on the grid in the last 4 races was very good going for Gasly. And he stole that coveted 10th place spot from Hulkenberg in the last race, which was quite sad. But, fair play. I do like Gasly, and I think he's going to absolutely destroy Jack Doohan for 3 races before Colapinto gets the seat next year.
Wonderful. We look forward to it.
We do. Nico Hülkenberg is the next driver in 11th place. And I am pretty sure, put Haas last and the drivers as high as 18th, and that was it.
You're bang on. Both of us put Hulkenberg in 18th.
Great. So, yeah, the Ayo Komatsu hype train didn't leave the station.
Well, it only did when it mattered, didn't it? No, it was fine in testing. Yeah. It was just before testing, wasn't it?
Well, throughout testing, they didn't really do any low fuel runs. They were like 6-7 seconds off the pace for the whole time. And we were like, oh dear, this is going to be a hard year. Because 2023 was awful. But it turns out they just spent testing learning how to look after their tyres.
Absolutely the right thing to do. Yeah, they'd score points by Jeddah.
Exactly. And Hulkenberg was just plugging away all season, doing an absolute job. Obviously, back-to-back 6th places at one point was the highlight.
Yep.
In Austria and Silverstone. And
how many points finishes did Hulkenberg get this year? Because it was something mad, wasn't it? That he scored points in like 10 Grand Prix and had like another 7 11th places or something.
He had 10 points finishes and
like 7 11ths.
7 11th places. You're right.
Wild, absolutely wild.
Yeah.
I've been known to give Hulkenberg some slander. Exactly, I've been known to give some Hulkenberg some slander in years gone by, but he's almost in a weird way like having those couple of years out was the best thing ever for him.
Yeah,
he's almost like he's come out with a new hunger.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, in the podcast he did in 23 on Beyond the Grid, he was basically saying that it's refreshed him, it's given him perspective. Obviously, he's got a child now, so that will help. And I think it's really revitalised him, and I think he'll be here for many years to come.
Until Sauber next year is absolutely ass, and then he gets screwed.
And cut to Bortoleto beating him when he's out of the grid on
26.
Exactly. No, I think Hulkenberg will beat Bortoleto next year, and I think I'm not as upset that he's at Sauber now based on how okay Sauber were in the last 4 races. So
I think you're still living on a bit of hopium, but there we are.
It is a bit of hopium, but it's probably his best year in F1 since 2018.
I think that's fair.
It's only about his 3rd year in F1.
I was going to say, this is his 3rd full-time season since then.
Yeah, but I'm very pleased, and I would rate him probably definitely top 8, maybe top 6 drivers on the grid this year.
I was going to say top 6. I think he's probably 6th best this year.
He's been very good. And we'll stop the Hulkenberg praise train and go to Yuki Tsunoda, who is 12th.
Okay. I believe, Jamie. Carry on.
This predictions, it gets to this point in the midfield and it's just an absolute state. Because
you got Tsunoda bang on.
Oh, yes. There we go.
I didn't, sadly. I put him 14th.
That's a point for me.
Well done.
Go. I obviously knew Tsunoda would finish 12th in the RB, which was massively overhyped in pre-season. People thought he was going to challenge the front runners for some reason. Yeah. And did they even get Q3 in the first race? I think Tsunoda must have got Q3, but I think that was it, wasn't it?
Did they get cute? I thought it was just the big teams.
They didn't.
Absolutely dominated, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
because Aston Martin were the fifth fastest, but easily at that race, weren't they?
Well, they were they were quicker than Merc, I would have thought, probably.
I remember after two races, of one race, you basically said that
it might be that the bottom 5 teams won't score pretty much all year.
Yeah,
and then
which would have meant Lance Stroll scored at every race.
Yeah, which was stupid of me to think, wasn't it?
A bizarre thing to say, yeah. But yes.
By halfway around Jeddah, he'd already binned it.
Yeah, he did an okay job this season. It wasn't his... maybe it was his best season. He's definitely getting better year on year, isn't he, Tsunoda? But he didn't tear up any trees. And that's arguably why he has not got the Red Bull drive. But
no, the reason is he's a Honda
teammates. So, yeah, I guess you make some credit for that because he did beat both of his teammates this season. And yeah,
no,
pretty good.
He did a good job.
Not
he
amazing.
did a good job, I think.
He did.
Fair enough. 13th
is Lance Strulovic.
I believe we both put him in 10th.
Okay, which, given the car pace in Bahrain, that should have been the case. So,
but given this is Lance Stroll, it was never going to be the case.
Yeah, as we said with Alonso, really, he's just absolutely done. It's probably his worst season in a long time in Formula One.
I wonder how much tax relief Lawrence gets by wasting all this money on giving Lance Stroll a hobby.
By sending money into Aston Martin.
Exactly. Yeah. His tax bill must be nothing, I would have thought. It's the only reason he probably does it.
Because all of his income just goes into Aston Martin.
Exactly.
But yeah, Stroll obviously will never leave that team. Well, no. Lawrence Stroll is the owner, or the part owner. So, but yeah, it's a horrendous season. As we said, no points after Hungary, which means that if you reverse the season, it would have taken him 11 races to get on the board.
So to catch up to Zhou Guan Yu in the Sauber.
Yeah, and not even, because he got 8th.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, really, really poor from Stroll, but we sound like a broken record. He's not going to get dropped, is he?
When are we going to say different? Exactly.
Yeah, I think Lawrence will just keep putting world champions next to him until he gives up.
Exactly.
Yeah, next up is Esteban Ocon in 14th place.
Okay. You got Tsunoda bang on in 12th, didn't you?
Yes.
I said Ocon 13th, you said Ocon 15th.
No, a point each. We're really, sharing a lot of points out.
It's because we both know wheels so well.
Exactly that. Hold on, I think I might have just given myself an extra point by mistake. Yes, I did.
Cheating, 183.
We're right. I'm not cheating. I corrected myself. Ocon, yeah, it was a very French season, and I say that.
It was. It's so funny.
It started pretty poorly, got okay, and then just absolutely imploded at the end. It kind of sums up Alpine.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, there's not much to say at Ocon. Obviously, I think he's very relieved to be out of that team. But it was pretty self-inflicted because Monaco lap 1 was stupid. I do think when the car was awful, Ocon slightly had the edge on Gasly, but nobody noticed because they were 19th and 20th.
Exactly. It was 17th and 18th. They were better than Zhou and Bottas still, but yeah.
Not even. The Bahrain, they were back row.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? Yeah. I think, it's just, I mean, to be fair, Ocon, I know we both said it after when he obviously got dropped. We were like, ooh, not sure that's going to work out great for him. But now that Alpine are becoming a customer team and everything, you kind of think it's probably not been a bad choice to get out of there. Or not that really out of choice.
Especially that Haas seem credible, at least.
They until he gets
decent.
absolutely slapped by Behrman next year.
Yeah. Ocon is just quite unlikable, which is odd considering his backstory, but yeah.
He's the only guy ever that could live in a caravan and make it a Formula. He's like the last ever driver that we're probably going to see that had that kind of storyline. He's still hateful.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, he's not likable, is he?
Not particularly.
But yes, the second place in Brazil was pretty good, so fair play for that.
Yeah, he did well. He maximised a couple of results.
Kevin Magnussen is 15th. And we definitely put him last, didn't we?
We didn't. You did.
What did we do?
Put him 19th.
Oh, you put Joe last, you snake.
No, I didn't.
Yes. Wait, you didn't?
We'll get there when we get. No, we'll get there when we get there, Jamie. Don't worry.
Right. So you're up to 2 points ahead of me again, 13 to 11.
Wonderful.
In 15 drivers. So I've only beaten you on 2.
Yep.
Yes. Magnussen, he did all right. I think he's probably fair to lose a seat. It's not a massive loss, but there's been other seasons. Well, there's drivers on this year's grid who've done worse jobs and kept their seat. So
I feel it's almost a bit like Sainz, as in slightly probably less of a shocker or anything like that. Well, not really a shocker because Sainz wasn't really either. As in, you can kind of understand it, but I absolutely think that he would have been better to keep on whilst you teach Behrmans the ropes. Because Ocon just will not play friends, and Ocon doesn't know how that team works. I absolutely still think it was a bad choice by Haas, and I wonder if there was someone else they thought they could have got in, potentially Carlos Sainz, as to why they kind of rushed this decision. But yeah, I still think it's a bit of a shame that because I think if I had to choose right now, as if I was Ai Komatsu and it was my choice, I'd probably go with Magnussen instead.
Yeah, I think I agree. Because they're basically the same driver, but Magnussen's going to play a bit fairer with his teammate.
Magnussen's willing to play the team game for Haas, and that is a very, very powerful thing when you need it.
Yeah. And especially when you're trying to train a young driver, albeit not their driver. So, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, but they're still a Ferrari Junior team, aren't they? At the end of the day,
they are. So they've got to do well for Behrman, otherwise, they can't be screwing him over every week. I think Magnussen, especially his little renaissance in the last couple of races, was pretty good.
He's gone out with a flurry.
It's not a huge loss because he has been dropped twice before, and he's come back. So I don't think he will come back this time. But he's had a good career. He had an okay season. Obviously, it was hilarious at points. Especially Jeddah and Miami Sprint were good highlights for him.
Yep. And getting a race ban.
Getting a race ban, exactly. I was disappointed he didn't start torpedoing everyone in Abu Dhabi to get a whole podium, but we move. And yeah, 15th place was probably fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's... I mean, it doesn't tell the full story on a couple of occasions, but Haas deserved that P6 overall, I think, in hindsight.
They did, and Alpine got it because of Brazil. Next up, Alexander Albon, which is surprisingly low, considering I think at one point he was flirting with the top 10, wasn't he? But Williams really didn't kick on. I think I'm just looking after Baku, he would have been like 12th, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, so, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, they were doing quite well, weren't they?
A lot of drivers got past him at the end. But he finished on only 12 points, which is a lot less than 2023, despite the car being better overall.
Where was Albon, sorry, overall again? 16th?
16th.
Okay, you guessed 14th, Jamie.
Okay.
I guessed 15th.
Oh, you're right again.
I'm not right, I'm just closer.
This is not this. Yeah, you're closer. We're not going great, are we? Well, I'm not. Alex Albon, he had an okay season. It's just very limited by the car. And obviously, he has beaten both his teammates. But then it's quite hard to tell if that's any good or not. I'm really excited to see him go against Sainz because
that will be
I think we'll get an actual bearing on him.
Yeah, that'll be the big test.
Because he's raced against Latifi and Sargent for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and the absolutely wild man that is Franco Colapinto, which I've never seen someone's stock rise and fall so fast inside 6 Grand Prix. Oh, yeah. But there we are. Or 8 Grand Prix, however many it was.
It was 6.
Was it only 6?
Wait,
I thought it was 8, wasn't it?
Colapinto. Oh, that is Lawson.
I think you're looking at Lawson, yeah. It was 8 or 9, wasn't it?
It was 9, yeah.
Neither of us predicted him, by the way, so we apologise for that. We never saw Franco Colapinto, who made the jump from F3 at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what a wild year it ended up being.
You got Albon closer than me, for sure.
Yep.
Next up is Daniel Ricciardo. And I'm feeling quite confident about this one, since you had him driving Red Bull for most of the season.
I did, yeah. I think I've got him 7th, I want to say, and you've got him... To be fair, admittedly, you've got him in 11th. You predicted him to be the best of the bottom 5 teams, which is still closer than I got, but probably actually worse.
Well, I'll take the point. But yeah, VCarb were hyped. And obviously, Ricciardo had only done 10 races in 23, so we were like, if he's going to kick on, he's going to kick on this season.
Exactly.
Sadly, that didn't happen for him.
It did not.
Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo, we were losing a lot of drivers from the grid this year, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but yeah, if you had said like Perez, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Bottas, all these drivers who are now just not going to be on the grid and might not be ever again, then it's like, oh, that's actually quite a lot of our like mid 2010s drivers who are just disappearing.
Wild, isn't it? Absolutely wild.
Yeah, but Ricciardo deservedly dropped. Although it was curious because after there was a genuine chance in summer break that he was getting promoted to Red Bull, which would have been quite the turn up for the books.
I remember he said pretty much at one point it was either that he was going to have arguably the best car on the grid still at that point, or no car at all, which is just so hilariously Red Bull, is just astounding. But ultimately, he did get beaten by Yuki this year. I think, at the end of the day, it's a junior team. Investors weren't happy that they had a 35-year-old bloke in the junior team. It needed to be done, I'm afraid, whether people are going to cry about it or not.
It did. And I think, his stock fell when he went up against Norris in 21. So he never really recovered from that.
Exactly. I mean, his stock, it really, the nail in the coffin for him was leaving Red Bull, ultimately. He had a couple of good years with Renault.
Did not pay off.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And the fact he was begging to get let back into Red Bull to be Max's teammate was what he was with anyway in 2018. Exactly.
So, he basically tried to go back to square one, and suddenly square one has got 5 years more F1 experience and is a much more complete driver. Exactly.
Yeah. Next up is Ollie Behrman, who we did not predict. So, we will not be getting any points for that, obviously. He finished 18th. Good season for Behrman in his little cameos, although they got worse as time went on, really, didn't they? So
I mean, he was still doing... Brazil is kind of looked back on badly. He still was quicker than Hulkenberg, but just made too many mistakes.
He got a better Q. He was quicker in qualifying. He was not quicker in the race.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, obviously, he'd never driven a Formula 1 car in the wet before. To be chucked into a race for your first ever drive.
That bad conditions as well.
Exactly. He scored points for Ferrari on debut. I mean, imagine if Ferrari had won... And for Haas on debut. Imagine if Ferrari won the Constructors by less than 6 points. Would have been mad.
Yeah, definitely. So he's going to have a good season for Haas next year. I'm excited for that. But
so am I.
His Saudi drive is overrated, but I'll whisper it. Colapinto was next.
You are hating on the man for no reason.
I think Sainz would have finished 4th that race.
but you think going in as a rookie in a Ferrari at Jeddah of all places, when that's probably the physically most intensive circuit on the calendar. That's from been inside 20 laps. It was a good drive. It was a very good drive.
Yeah, it was. But people are like, "Oh my word, future champion!" He finished 7th.
I think he could be. It wasn't the second fastest car then.
It was
not at Jeddah.
Leclerc finished second. Leclerc finished third. Sorry. Yeah.
Did he? Fair enough. I still think you're hating on him for no reason.
Sainz in the first 4 races got 3rd, appendix.
He did win,
and 3rd.
He did, He had a really good run early on.
He did. Colapinto was next up in 19th. Again, we didn't predict his debut, surprisingly.
Wait, sorry, did you say Lawson already?
No.
No, that's all right then. That's all right.
Colapinto is 19th, which gives us no points for anyone because, yes...
Neither of us predicted an F3 driver.
In his first 5 races, he came 12th, 8th, 11th, 10th, 12th. And you're like, oh my word, this kid's amazing.
Yeah.
Formula 2 and then the last 4 races... No longer incredible. We knew that already. Last 4 races, he got DNF, 14th, DNF. And all of them were self-inflicted.
They were.
I think. Was Abu Dhabi? What was he doing in Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi, I think he just got involved in a mess, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he retired lap 1. So, and to be fair, Qatar was Hulkenberg's fault as well. So maybe not. But the couple of crashes in Vegas and Sao Paulo were not
completely self-inflicted. But again, if we give Behrman a bit of credit for a first time in the wet, we can say the same for Colapinto in Brazil.
Wait, can you? He stacked it twice.
Yeah, so did Behrman, didn't he?
Only once. He hit Colapinto once, but where's the credit for crashing your F1 car? Anyone can do that.
I suppose.
But yeah, Colapinto was 19th. Zhou Guanyu was 20th, but for argument's sake, he's 18th.
No, he's 20th.
No, he's 18th because we didn't predict Behrman and Colapinto, so Zhou moves up to 18th.
Okay. No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. Actually,
Yeah, we are. That's how we said that at the start.
Actually, no. To be fair, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You said 16th. I said 20th. So we were even anyway.
Okay, we're even anyway. Yes. So you actually got Joe bang on in real life, but because we're taking out Behrman and Colapinto,
apparently, yeah.
we are. That's what we always do.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's fair. I'll allow it.
Back in the day. Yeah, Joe beat his teammate. Which did I say beat Bottas this season?
You did, but we also said
there we go.
The same
Get
thing.
in.
It was just going to be pure.
Wait, you put Joe ahead of Bottas too?
No, I didn't. No, I said Bottas was going to absolutely rinse him, but you said it as in it was going to be.
So I am correct on my driver. That's a win for me.
Oh yeah, but Joe only beat Bottas because Bottas got shafted so many times.
But the 8th place was banging. That was like I was.
Yeah,
happy
but that was only because Bottas got taken out.
It would have been such a damp squib of a season if Joe hadn't got any points at all.
What do I have? Bottas?
But that gave Sauber something to celebrate.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't see either driver coming back onto the grid at any point.
Well, hang on a minute. Bottas has been announced as the third driver for Mercedes.
He has, but what does that mean?
Well, if Antonelli doesn't live up to the hype, he's straight in. Yeah, exactly. It'd be great.
Yeah, maybe.
Great to see.
But I was pleased for Joe with that 8th place. I think everyone was happy. You could.
I think they were. Yeah, I must admit, I loved seeing him at the Shanghai Major as well. That was so cool. Like, Joe is. I know we've said this before. Joe is just genuinely a good guy.
Yeah. I have a funny story, which I don't know if you saw or not, which is going to go straight over the heads of anyone who's not played CSGO before. But
it's just Counter-Strike now, Jamie. It's not CSGO anymore. Don't leave it.
Don't
leave it in the past.
I've not played it since it went to CS2, really. But yes, you had the casters. Joe bought a PP Bison, in one of the rounds, and the casters said, Joe, they're using the worst equipment available to him, but it'll be used to that after driving a Sauber for 2024.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So, you know what? He did okay, but yeah, he was lost most of the season because that car was horrendous.
Yeah. And be honest, Jamie, he also didn't deserve to beat Bottas in the championship at the year. Bottas handily was better than him.
He was, but you know, when your car's going to get points, you're going to get points. Like, you've got to be there to take
Bottas was going to get those points until Lawson took him out.
Avoid Liam Lawson then. That's what Sergio Perez is trying to do. Next up is Valtteri Bottas. No, it's not. It's Liam Lawson in 21st place. But you get a point by default.
Yep.
Because I didn't predict him and you did. So there we go.
Thank you. Wonderful. I think I predicted him 18th in the end, so I was a bit optimistic in that one.
So he actually, in our kind of adjusted, he finished 19th. So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, he did. I did well there. I'm happy with that. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, and obviously he's off to Red Bull, so he probably won't finish 21st next season.
No, I'm going to do the same with Perez. I'm going to predict him like 14th to get sacked halfway through the year or something. Something absolutely wild.
Arvid Lindblad on the championship positions.
Yep.
Valtteri Bottas is next up in 22nd in a 20-man championship, but adjusted he would be 20th.
So you said 17th, I said 16th.
There we go. Point for me.
Yeah.
On Bottas.
Well done.
I think you might have won because you're 2 points ahead and there's only one driver left. So yeah, Bottas again off the grid. Might come back. Andretti are probably interested in him.
I can see them being interested.
I can. He's only 34?
4, yeah. Not that
35
old.
actually, but yeah. Yeah, I think he could easily be back on the grid. I think he's unlucky to lose a seat since he did handedly beat his teammate this year, despite losing to him in the championship. Yeah.
Thank you for admitting.
Yes, but he's unlucky. But that's Albert again. Dreadful. And you can see, I can totally see why they replaced him with Bortoleto, because that was the choice, wasn't it? It was Bottas or Bortoleto, realistically.
Yeah, and you've got to look at your future as well, especially for a team like Sauber that is... And to be honest, I think the same with Joe as well. I don't think either of them really wanted to be there again next year. Apart from maybe those final couple of races where it seemed to make a turnaround.
The life was beaten out of them, wasn't it, really, by driving that Sauber all year? Yeah. Which is understandable. So, yeah, unlucky for Bottas, but I think... he'll be back. The drivers were losing from the grid this year. I think Bottas is probably the most likely to come back.
Oh, yeah. He's the best out of that lot. as well. I think is the other thing, isn't it?
Probably.
Which is fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably. Who's better than him that's getting dropped?
Yeah, he definitely.
You got Joe. Who else was it? Perez. And that's it, isn't it? Magnussen, yeah.
Ricardo.
Yeah, well, there you go. Bottas is easily. Bottas has had near enough as many wins as the rest of those put together.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably has. Next up, Logan Sargent, our boy Logie, who, came last and really didn't kick on, apart from that 10th place qualifying and 11th place finish in Silverstone.
Wow.
Which is a bit of a specialist track for him, isn't it? Then he really didn't do that much.
Yeah, I think the fact that how quickly we forgot about him says everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, deservedly dropped mid-season, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And he kind of allowed this whole driver world towards the end of the year, didn't it? Because kind of once Colapinto came in and started doing bits and then actually started crashing, by that point we'd seen so much of a shuffle around that it's kind of instilled. It gave a little bit. It's probably the greatest contribution Sargent's given to Formula One. Was getting sacked.
Well, that is harsh. And he obviously gave his car up for Albon in Melbourne, but that was understandable.
He did. But that was pretty much the moment his career was over.
Yeah. Lost all the confidence. And rightly, you understand why James Vowles made that call. But yes, not great. And I do hope he goes to IndyCar and does all right, because he's, there's still some speed in there. But maybe not built for F1.
No, exactly. I put him 21st, you put him 19th, by the way.
Okay, so you're right. Adjusted points, you got him bang on. Well done.
I apologise for all my sneezing.
He's allergic to correct predictions, which is good because you're on this podcast, so there's not many of them.
And I also got more of them right than you, so pipe down. Or closer,
you did.
I should say.
So
what's that, a 3-point win?
You got 17. I got 14.
And really, the Joe one, I'm not happy with, but we'll allow it.
A double L for me in predictions this year.
You've done badly.
Do we want to run through Constructors? I don't want to score it because we're very long already. But
we can smash Constructors if you want. We both said Red Bull first, so we got that wrong. You said Ferrari second, so you got that right. I said Mercedes. I said Ferrari third. You said Mercedes, so we both got that wrong. We both said McLaren fourth, so we got that wrong. We both said Aston Martin fifth, so we got that wrong. I said Alpine.
That was right.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that is right. Even ignore me. I said Alpine in sixth, though, so I will take that point. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Brazil.
You said AlphaTauri. I said AlphaTauri seventh. I don't get a point there, do I? Sadly.
No.
Yep. You said Alpine, and then we both said Williams in eighth, Sauber in ninth, and Haas in 10th. So we each get 1 point.
So we did pretty bad.
Yeah.
We got one for Aston. I got one for Ferrari. I win.
Oh, no, I got one for Alpine as well. Sorry, we got 1 point over each other. So we call that a draw, and I beat you overall. Jamie, I'm not sure you're going to be on the podcast next year. You clearly don't know wheel. I'm
not sure about it because you'll have died by then.
Possibly,
on how your nose is sounding.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a fair chance. I might never make episode 212 next week, which would be really sad.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Jamie, have you got anything else to add?
Not that I know of. DTS had a date reveal, so...
Did it? I haven't even seen this.
It's early March, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. Early March?
But I probably won't
Season's
watch
already begun?
No, it's like the 5th of March. It's like the 4th or 5th or something. It's the week before the season, like always.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, yeah, it's a bit odd. Fair enough. Well, I hope, as always, that you enjoy your time in the south of France, Jamie. As always, it's been lovely to meet up with you. Thank you all, as always, so much for listening throughout the entirety of the year. Like we said, we're hopefully going to get one more show out before the end of the year. But we do apologise. We've kind of been a little bit all over the place in the last few days. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Let us know what your predictions were at the start of the year. How many you got right, how many you got wrong. Did you beat either of us overall? Probably, based on the predictions we made. But yeah, we'll be back very soon with episode 212.